All right, we're at a DIY video on how to make your own wheel set for your kayak. I bought a Kayak kayak recently. Did not come with a set of wheels. Most of the places where you buy your kayak, the wheel set, like for my Hobie, was $150. I didn't want the strap-on type that you can buy at, say, Academy, where the kayak sits on top and you're relying on a strap to hold it down. Those may be fine. I prefer the ones that go up in the scupper holes. So everything I got here came from the Walmart or Lowe's. And just real quick, this 3/4 inch Schedule 40 pipe, and I've got 4 T's for it. 2 of the plugs which fit into the T. And what I did is I used a small bit to drill a pilot hole, and I used a 1/2 inch wood bit to drill it out big enough for what I'm going to use for my axle, which is, and you can buy this straight off the shelf at Lowe's, it's 7/16 by 14 threaded rod. And then over in the drawer section, they won't be out in the bins, but they'll be in the specialty fasteners. I got the 7/16 by 14 nuts that will fit, and I bought washers to fit also. The wheels were down in the lawn and garden, and the great thing about these wheels is they have a bearing in them, so if you tighten it down with the washer against it, it will still turn. So good wheels, pool noodle from Walmart, a couple of bucks, and of course some PVC glue. So the reason that I'm making it this way is I wanted to get some wheel clearance. I've seen guys that want to just simply put wheels and then set the kayak directly on top of the board or whatever. And with my Wahoo, the wheel wants to rub if I don't have a little bit of clearance in there. So basically I came up with this. The other thing I'm doing, and this is just to add a little bit of rigidity to the bottom, is this is a 3/8 pipe from the plumbing section of Lowe's. It slides right on this 3/4, and it also fits over the 7/16. So it's real simple. I've got my T's on. I cut short pieces to give me clearance. I have some longer pieces. If you want it to sit a little bit higher, you can. I did have it sitting up a little bit higher, and noticed that as I pulled it, it seemed to want to torque against the scupper holes, and I want to avoid that. So I've got shorter pieces in. I haven't glued anything in yet. Always dry fit everything first. Put it on the kayak, make sure it's going to work before you glue it. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of cutting to do to get this stuff out. So it's a real basic design. I put the pipe in here, and then I take and put my T's on the end. And of course the rod will slide right through. So slide your rod in. So now that's a good stiff bottom axle. And of course this isn't going to be turning at all. Just the wheels are going to be rotating around it. It's not that tight. You can actually go with a bigger threaded rod, but this one fit nicely through here and had a little bit of a gap in it so that I don't have to worry about the wheel getting in the bind and starting to turn on this threaded rod. And then you just put that on there. It goes together like that. Of course, I'm going to lay it flat and make sure everything is lined up. Real simple with these. I didn't see the need. I have another one of the galvanized pipes. If you want a little bit of extra support here, you can use it. Let's take a piece of pool noodle, slide that on. That's just because I don't want my kayak bouncing on this thing. And the other thing is if you have a little bit of a cushion, if your kayak's bouncing, it's going to absorb some of the shock on these PVC joints. The Wahoo kayak, I think, weighs 75 or 78 pounds. Not a terribly heavy one. If I was going to make one of these for my Hobie, which weighs 105 pounds empty, I would definitely want to put one of these rods in there to give it some additional support. I measured the scupper holes. 3/4 inch pipe fits with probably almost 1/4 inch gap around it. So it'll be nice and loose. It's not going to be too tight, not putting anything in a bind. So after you put everything together, once you glue it, like I said, lay it down before you glue it and make sure that everything is flush and plumb like it's supposed to be. That way you don't end up with one that kind of sits awkwardly in your scupper holes. So then I'm just going to put a washer on each one. Wheel slides on. Washer on the outside. Wash on the outside. And it's easy whenever you're doing this, if you put them on at the same time, you can kind of slide that through to get it where it's even. So now I'm going to wash on either side of the wheel to keep it off of the PVC, get a little bit of space in there, and to prevent larger objects from getting between the wheel and the threaded rod. So then you can just get these on there, and when you're hand tightening, it's pretty easy to get the spacing right. And you can, if you want to, afterwards, you can cut this rod off a little bit if you don't like it sticking out. But for my purposes, it's not going to bother me at all. If you do want to cut it off, put the nut on there first. You can measure it, decide how much you need to cut off, put a nut on it, cut it on the outside of the nut. That way, whenever you take the nut back off, it will straighten these threads back out. If you kind of burr them up a little bit whenever you're cutting it, it'll straighten them right back out. So I'm going to tighten them, not going to be too snug. See, the wheel will turn freely. If you're worried about them backing off, just put you a little strip of electrical tape around the outside to keep it from backing up on the threads. And that's it. That fits nicely under my Wahoo kayak. I've got enough clearance to keep it off the wheels. And I'll probably have about 2 inches clearance above each wheel. And that'll take me where I want to go. So feel free to modify it any way you think. I mean, it's not perfect for every kayak, obviously. But that's just a basic design, which is better than spending $150 for a set that's made by the manufacturer. Copy it and do whatever you like with it. I hope it helps you. And don't forget to give me any feedback that you want to in the comment section below. If you have a design change you think would work, I'll be happy to look at it. Thanks.